Hi guys, it's Turok. Is that working? I think it's on. Turok here, and today I'm going to be doing a review of sorts. I guess my thoughts and such on the new Batman movie that I just saw it last night, and I'm trying to get this recorded now while it's fresh. So also I'll be giving some spoilers later, or as much as I can remember. So just be warned of that. And but first I'll start without any. And first of all, I want to say that I think this is a great Batman film. And for me, it's probably up there as one of my favorites of all the films. Uh, Actually, of all the films, though, I have not seen the one with the um, Adam West. I haven't seen it. I never saw that film, by the way. I've seen some of the show. It's all right for what it is. But as far as all the other movies I have seen of the live action, this is one of my favorites now. Up there with Batman '89 and The Dark Knight. Like both of those, each their own way. I think Heath Ledger is great in his role as a Joker, and that whole film story set against the kind of the themes that it brought along with it was awesome. And I like Batman '89 as a kind of almost campy sort, but I like the presentation of the city in there, the older, almost 1940s look, perhaps. That also, I love how that got carried over well into the follow-up cartoon. So that one's probably my favorite of all. Just the bias from watching it a lot as a kid, and then The Dark Knight when it came out, it's like blew my mind. I just like rewatched that thing so many times. Rewatched a lot of scenes with the great scenes that everyone cites multiple times. But this one too. This one's great in atmosphere. All three, I think it's really about the atmosphere in this as well as those that really helps me want to set this apart from others and probably films in general. So this movie has a very dark, modern atmosphere that just hooks you right in. The city that's just falling apart, crime-ridden, different classes of people. The lower classes are suffering, and the upper class getting all the. It's some of it harkens back to The Dark Knight Rises. It just has a different villain, and events happen, but it sets a similar tone there. It does things a little differently. Batman here is young, as we've seen in the trailers, and he wants to help the people of Gotham by stopping criminals from being criminals. He's his theme here, his throughout the film, his beginning part is to be vengeance for people who are being harmed by criminals, such as his parents. So he's setting out himself to do this, and to set fear into the hearts of the criminals, as he does it all the time. But this way he does it here is great in that he's still building up to the Batman we all know and love. In terms of his overall goals. So we have a great atmosphere going on, and then the characters solid here, very excellent. This balance of the cast also reminds me very well of how Nolan's films were, and just having every character feeling that we understand the motivations and what their characters like, and the actors do well in portraying that. I was very surprised by my standout one. I was surprised by was John Turturro playing Falcone. I forget his first name. I was not expecting someone like him to play that character, but his kind of I'm looking at him compared to I forget his name that played him in Batman Begins. That guy was like the type of character. That actor had that type of typical mobster feel that I would expect of that character. But John Turturro brought this kind of. It just felt like he was quieter. He wasn't as bombastic almost, but you still felt the atmosphere of the intimidation factor of who he is and what he can do. He brought it in a quieter way, I thought, to that kind of mobster character. And so yeah, stand out for me. So, and other characters, we have the he's not the commissioner yet, but Gordon. Uh, Gordon here is perfect as his kind of is just, well, how would I say it? He's up and coming. He's up and coming as a cop. He's not the commissioner yet, and he's trying to work with Batman. And I think their relationship works really well as them playing the cop and the two trying to see eye to eye and fixing things, even though it's gonna like bend. He's Batman's bending the rules and not it is not the right way. The cops use the procedural way to solve things, but Gordon knows this is gonna help, whereas the other cops don't want to deal with that kind of thing. They want because they're the ones appointed by the government of sorts to be law and order. But Gordon, yeah. So Gordon's character, I'll come back to it if I think of anything. So then there's also well, should I do Penguin or Catwoman? Both of them are good. Penguin and Catwoman are both great too, and I find it funny that they're together in a film again when we got Batman Returns with Danny DeVito and Michelle Pfeiffer being working as an alliance to take down Batman. Here they're at odds because as they usually should be, I would think, because Catwoman is a character, from what I understand, isn't one that wants to work with criminals anymore. The criminal element of the Penguins and Jokers of the world any more than Batman does, but she just has different goals than Batman and looking out for herself and bringing down people perhaps to some level that she feels are bringing injustice too. So we got Catwoman working to help, trying to help a friend. I followed a part where her friend got kidnapped. She's looking for her, so she comes to work with Batman. So sorry, we're going into some spoilers now. As I clean up these characters, I'm going over my thoughts with them and with their relationships. So Catwoman here is out to help a friend, find a friend. So she had to go. Her and Batman collide as she's going to, I think it was back to the mayor's house after his death by the Riddler, and she had to get a passport, I believe, and her and Batman interact together, and they form an alliance here to try to find information about where her friend would be, and he needs to find out about where the mayor was. Yeah, I need to watch this again at some point when I get out. But it's fine. We have all these like influential people who are going to this club. The mayor was connected somehow, it seems, if I recall right. And Batman needs her help to get in there, so that because he's going in there as Batman is kind of out of the question. Although I thought with that scene he should have just kind of way to sneak in the way kind of like Catwoman would, where he just gotta get in there, and I would have thought he'd just kind of sneak in there and just observe the place the whole night. But with all the people and security, I suppose, I don't know. I just thought there'd be a better way for him to get in there. But Catwoman is out so she's done well, I think. I was expecting her to be more of the cat burglar stuff that I've seen in other, like in the video games or I guess in the cartoon. It's been a while since I've seen the cartoon episodes with her, but I was expecting more cat burglar stuff out of there for her to be kind of at odds with Batman too, where she was after other valuables to enrich herself. But they gave her an anchor, a character of motivation of helping a friend, because she's working at this. Also, because she's working at this bar, this club that's part of Falcone's organization, and we find out later what that's about. She's there to get close to Falcone because she wants revenge. Because spoilers, she's his daughter. I wonder if that's ever been done before. I was not seeing that coming. That was a big twist in this I was not expecting, was the relation of Catwoman with Falcone. I have no idea if they've ever interacted before in any cartoons or comics, but I didn't. I only know of Falcone's character being in Batman Begins, Oh wait, was he also in Batman 89? Now I gotta watch that again. No, was that who Jack Palance played? I'm not sure. I'll look that up later. So we have Selina's motivation here is the revenge, and then to look out for a friend, which also leads to further revenge with her, which was a nice dynamic with her with Batman, and how her and Bruce are looking to kind of serve justice to those, but the way they want to go about it is almost completely different. And Batman has to start realizing that as he goes on. He's calling himself vengeance, but he really wants more like justice. He wants to stop criminals, not harm them, so he doesn't go down to the level, which is something I'm glad he still understands. But he learns across the film that his messaging that he's been attempting to do for the last 2 years is not working as he thought. And Selina helps him realize that, among as well as the plot with him of what Riddler's doing. It was neat to me too that both Riddler and Selina, in a way, are both trying to seem like a good opposites of each other, where they both want to change. Well, Riddler, I guess, wants to change the city. He seemed more like he's trying to change everyone in a dramatic way that's dramatic like Batman is, but dramatic in harming and taking the people down, taking down the rich and influential that's causing the harm to the people below them, as it were. But I thought that was interesting that Selina and the Riddler both are looking at people above at the top too, and then really and thinking these people must be stopped. But the way they want to do it is both also different. Where Selina's is more personal, though she hinted at other points of one like later with her Batman wanting to have Batman help her go after other like a CEO or a corrupt CEO or such like of other places, and kind of she seemed to be going like on an individual case by case basis, wanting to stop those kind of people. Where Riddler is looking at a way to do it broadly or just quicker and being able to inspire change to others too, as we find later. So like the Catwoman is a lot less of a cat burglar than I expected, but what happens with her story in here I think is great, and a dynamic with Batman is I think pretty much perfect. It's a good way to help Batman see what's going on, how his efforts are going to help people, and good to help him. Maybe he wants to help her. I feel like Selina still didn't really understand him as much as he. I think he had a slightly better understanding of her, that she wants to help people, but their dynamic. So I feel like if they had a relationship, she'd be constantly trying to coerce him to do the things she wants to, which is more harmful to people, like bodily harm and such, because she's still not quite against the idea of maybe killing people, where Batman is steadfastly throughout this already knows he doesn't want to do that. So if they were ever together, he'd probably be feeling like, oh, I gotta fix her, I gotta help her. And I wonder if that'll play out in a later film. So, obviously we're on to, well, the Riddler, I guess. And who else? Oh, no, the Penguin. Forgot about the Penguin. Now we got the Penguin here, Cobblepot, and he is working for Falcone, and he runs at the club. And so he's involved too in knowing a lot about this big drug bust, this central part of the plot. And I still have to go back and find review summaries about how this plot worked with Riddler. All I can understand from that is kind of like the Riddler found out about this, and how so many of like the DA or the mayor and probably chief of police, they're all involved in it, I think. And he sees that as the ultimate showing of how those people are as corrupt as criminals, if I understand it right. And so he uses that as his justification to bring them all down. And Penguin seems to know quite a bit about this, and I was trying to figure out if if he was involved in it himself, or he just waiting to utilize that for his own gains to take over Falcone's um, operation, which by the end looks like it will be kind of what's going on. I feel like what's going on here, Cobblepot's going to be the new head of the criminal organized crime, whereas in like The Dark Knight, after Falcone is taken down in the previous film, we see all these a slew of other bosses that are all trying to have a kind of coalition together. They each have their own territories, and then they have Joker in there help them to try. They want to take down the Batman in The Dark Knight. So the coalition there is not united really. They kind of are, and they're just working for their own combined goals to have business as usual. Whereas here with Falcone gone and the Batman, the next film, I think if Penguin is in there again, we'll see him at the peak of the criminal organized crime, which I kind of think is what's going on in some of the other stuff. Don't remember with the animated series. I don't remember how he is in there. I know that he's still based on that appearance is based a lot like on Danny DeVito's look, and here he's like it seems like he's about the same. I forget what actor that was playing him. I know he had some makeup on, so I didn't see. Let me pause and look. Okay, wow, that was Colin Farrell playing the Penguin. That was well done by him, and the makeup just threw me off. So Cobblepot in here looks not playing the short, slightly obese guy anymore. The games had, and the cartoons and the Batman Returns. So we got him here. Seeming in a way he's more intimidating this way. I think I like this change. And so I was just back. What was I saying? Oh yeah, he'll be in charge of the criminal element, I guess here, with the exceptions of like in the games. I remember him with him and the Joker and the Rockstar. Who did that? No. Who Rocksteady? Who made the Batman games? The Arkham games? He had the Joker and Cobblepot when they were like in Arkham City, having their own little territorial parts of it. So it'll be interesting to see if Joker comes in, if he'll be encroaching upon Penguin's territory as a criminal boss. So he's in there, and no umbrella. I wonder if they'll incorporate the umbrella somehow. But he was good in there, and I'm glad they introduced him this way as part of the plot, with so that we know he's established in this universe for future films, and I'm fine with him. So now, let's see what else. The Riddler. This is really core to the plot. Riddler here is great. I'm glad they kind of did away with the green outfit, that the question marks of the cartoons, games, and all the stuff. Although I like Jim Carrey's portrayal too, but it is over the top a bit, and that's what Jim Carrey does really well. But this was the scariest part. This criminal, the way he was portrayed here, it reminded me a lot of the film The Bone Collector with Denzel Washington and Angelina Jolie, where there's this silent killer going after people, and you don't know who he is, and he seems to just melt into the crowds and into the shadows almost as much as Batman does. And it was just, his appearance here was just so creepy. And he's still the Riddler. He still does all he leaves these envelopes with riddles, and he had like these Hallmark card style stuff he's making now, rather than pasting the magazine things like I think Jim Carrey did. And so his appearance in here really stands out as this person who's been left by the wayside of society. This background of his is great because it just shows a facet of being a part of a big society, a bloated society, I guess, that is so worried about all these groups of people in a city and society are so worried about their own goals and needs, and such as things like orphans and other people who become homeless gets left by the wayside, and the Riddler's trying to exemplifies this very well, and is trying to give some kind of justice in a way to that. I think he really wants to. He's seen this society that's falling apart, and you got all these leaders aspiring to be grandiose and the hero to everyone, but they're either they're corrupt in their own way, which is the focal point, or they're taking money too. They're working with the mob sometimes, or a lot of the times, especially in Gotham, or they're only looking out for those who are their, what would be the word, whether the politicians looking out for those who can give them money, who can give and take relationship. They don't really look for the little people, the true little people, the homeless, the orphans, the ones who need help, who get exploited and such by the criminals and can't get jobs, and they get handouts by the city, but they could be crumbs, and they just resort to crime, and the middle class and such would never want them, kind of thing. The thing where it's like not the clean neighborhood, they're not in the clean neighborhoods, or they have to live in the wrecks, the slums of the city. So the Riddler's here to seemingly rectify this, maybe cleanse the city, it seemed. He has a plan here to fix that, and he starts by going after the leaders that are corrupt, and what he does with them is really like pretty too, but it's just like, I get what he's going for, and I didn't want to root for him, but I didn't want to not, like, it just feels like, to me sometimes with these kind of story dynamics, these criminals like the Riddler, and then the dynamic of Batman, they feel like they're almost two extremes away from each other, where it feels like there needs to be something where you have to bring down these criminals, but there has to be a way where it's gonna help and have proper change. I'm going off. I'll do that another time. It's just I get what he's going for, and it's just so off the way he's doing it. But and so with him, it's really interesting, because now he finds out all this dirt on the criminals and all the people related to it in the government, and he's out to get them all. No one is safe from him, and when we finally see the kind of person he is and what his goals are, why he's done all this, it's really sad in a way that what society how he's been wrought out of the waste out of society, and he's more broken than I expected him to be, but in a way that makes him also sadistic and clever than other people are. It's really interesting to me to think about someone who just lived in that environment where they can become so morally, the morals have all been wiped away, but they're still trying to achieve a goal that has some silver lining. Not silver lining. Today he's attempting to help the city in his own way, but it's just so out there. And so, of all these characters, it's just everything how it meshed together was just wonderful. And though I do have a couple, well, let's see the pacing most of all. This movie I heard had been critiqued a lot for its length, but that didn't bother me. I think this part of the film is also great, and it also harkens back to me thinking about The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. And I thought longer films like this, when done right, work well, because the story needs more time. Though I did think there was a point in the film, doing some more spoilers here, I think this happened around 80 plus minutes in, that its plot for a while there didn't have anything with the Joker. It just had a separate part of a good 40 minutes or so, where it was just everything about what was going on with of Batman digging into the corruption and some of the stuff linking back to his father. And it just felt like they had the first part of the film a lot with the Joker, and the later part we didn't see him at all until the end, and it almost made me forget he was even there. this felt like two different plots that were not really tied in together. Just one part didn't feel tied in enough. Once again, once I watch it again someday, I can figure that out, how that really ties in. But when I read a lot of books, when I've read books and some other, you get other stuff, other good anime or manga stories where they flip back and forth between plots to kind of keep what's going, you reminding what's going on. That's a way I like, though. When they leave little cliffhangers, it's like, oh, I want to get back to that next part. And whenever I read books, I'll like sometimes jump ahead a chapter to figure out what happened at that cliffhanger. And this film didn't quite do enough of like back and forth. It kind of had the beginning, I think, with Riddler, and then it went to the stuff with the whole stuff with Thomas Wayne and relation with Falcone, and then came back to the Riddler toward the end. It felt like 3 acts: Riddler, Falcone, Riddler, and it does tie together as much as I can recall. But that pacing part where it's not perhaps meshed a little better, not meshed, but spliced together nicely, felt a little off. But as for the timing of it, the length of it, I think it was great because it gives a lot of moments of letting us see how Batman really is, especially as Batman. And he doesn't speak a lot, which is pretty much Batman, par for the course with Batman, but this one really took it up a level of him just kind of looking around in crime scenes. A lot of crime stuff, a lot of detective work. I know others have said this too. It's like it just like really sits into that detective work, which is great to see how Batman does his sleuthing, his ability to think quickly and to analyze things. And it was good too that there was like, it felt like he was doing it just right enough that he wasn't really outdoing the police totally, but he was there to help supplement this search. And as well as, so with the length to it, it felt great to see a lot of Batman spaced out. This reminds me a bit too of how this was done well, with like the movie The Hulk movies, where they're trying to have Bruce Banner, and they have to have Bruce Banner talk about how Bruce Banner he's dealing with being the Hulk and he can't stand it, and the Hulk only comes out in these times he's really necessary. And I always feel like those movies had trouble showing having the Hulk be there at the right time. And I feel like this movie could be a good template of sorts to help show in the future how that should be done better. But although the Hulk is its own proud thing of story, but the way Batman is used in here was great in his being shown up when he really is necessary. And it just really felt like he sprinkled out just right, which is good too, because there isn't a ton of action scenes that you would see with Christopher Nolan's movies. But it was always just enough there. There was always so much tension going on around the story that you didn't need all those action set pieces. And again, it's just the length of this film with that just is great. I think it just fits well overall to give us a whole lot of story that needs time to flesh out. So no problem with the length whatsoever. This too reminds me too, reminds me too that the other movie that did this well, I think, was the movie Casino Royale, the first Daniel Craig, James Bond film. I rewatched that last year or so, and I didn't realize how long that film was. In a way, that film too did better, a little better than this one, and I know it's pretty long, 2 hours 20, 2 hours 30 minutes, and I know every film, I haven't seen the recent one, but the other films that came after, they always were under 2 hours after, and I wish they hadn't been. I wanted them to be longer, like Casino Royale, to give this more time to flesh out the plot. And they had some slower moments in there too, involving that big poker tournament. So I just loved how this movie is, and that one too. I just giving you time to let things I was trying to think of a cooking analogy. Let everything seep in and let us really absorb this world, and not have this lightning fast pace all the time. And so that covers about all I can think of right now. So excellent movie overall. If you have time to see it, you got a theater nearby, you can just go see it. You're gonna be there a while though, so get comfortable, use the restroom, and I believe this movie's already done really well. So Can't wait for a sequel. This is great. This is the first time I've really been able to like be excited for a sequel like this. When the Nolan movies came out, I was like had missed out on the first two, and it's like now I'm right here in the heart of waiting for the next film with sheer anticipation. So that covers it for today. Thanks.